Have you ever noticed that the older you get, the more you enjoy your own company? Maybe you no longer crave crowded social gatherings, or perhaps the sound of silence feels more peaceful than constant chatter. Some people might see this as a sign of loneliness, but what if it's actually a reflection of deep wisdom? What if choosing solitude after 65 is one of the clearest signs that you truly understand yourself? As we age, society often tells us to stay busy, to surround ourselves with people, to never be alone. But the truth is, solitude isn't isolation. It's power. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't need external noise to feel complete. In this video, we'll explore 5 powerful reasons why seniors who prefer being alone are among the wisest of all. From valuing inner peace to embracing lifelong learning, these lessons reveal that solitude in later life isn't a weakness, it's one of the greatest forms of strength. So, stay with me until the very end, because you might discover that your love for solitude is not a flaw, but a hidden gift that helps you age gracefully, peacefully, and wisely. Number 1, you understand the value of peace. There comes a point in life when peace becomes more precious than excitement. After decades of responsibilities, challenges, and emotional ups and downs, you start to realize that peace isn't just something nice to have. It's essential. You've learned that unnecessary drama, shallow relationships, and endless obligations drain your energy instead of giving you joy. That's why, at this stage of life, you begin to choose quality over quantity. Fewer people, fewer commitments, but deeper meaning in everything you do. Take Gerald, a 70-year-old retired teacher, for example. In his younger years, he was constantly surrounded by people, colleagues, neighbors, acquaintances. He felt a constant obligation to stay social, even when it exhausted him. But after retiring, he finally saw things clearly. Most of those connections were based on habit, not genuine understanding. Now he chooses differently. He says no to social events that don't bring him joy. Instead, he spends his mornings walking quietly in the park, reading books he loves, or simply enjoying a cup of tea while listening to the wind. What he discovered was remarkable. Peace isn't found in the absence of people. It's found in the presence of self-understanding. He wasn't lonely at all. He was free. The ability to embrace solitude means you're truly comfortable in your own company. You don't depend on constant noise or external attention to feel fulfilled. Many people fear being alone because they've never learned how to sit quietly with their own thoughts. But when you find peace in solitude, it shows emotional strength, independence, and deep wisdom. Instead of wasting precious energy trying to maintain social obligations that drain you, you learn to guard your inner calm, something many people never master in their lifetime. Some might confuse this peaceful solitude with isolation, but the difference is profound. Isolation happens when someone feels disconnected and longs for companionship they don't have. Solitude, however, is a deliberate choice, a conscious decision to step away from the world's unnecessary chaos and find comfort in stillness. When you reach a stage in life where you understand that peace is far more valuable than endless small talk or empty socializing, you've unlocked one of the greatest rewards of aging, the freedom to live life on your terms. Number 2, you have a strong sense of self. One of the clearest signs of wisdom in later life is truly knowing who you are. In your younger years, you may have spent time trying to fit in, seeking approval from family, friends, or coworkers, worrying about what others thought. But with age comes clarity. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to anyone. You've lived enough, loved enough, and learned enough to know exactly who you are, what you value, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. That kind of self-awareness is powerful. People who struggle with being alone often do so because they've never built a strong relationship with themselves. They rely on others to fill the silence, to distract them from their own thoughts, or to make them feel whole. But those who genuinely enjoy solitude have already discovered something rare. They find peace and contentment from within. Instead of looking outward for validation, you look inward and feel grounded in who you are. You've developed an inner calm that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. Consider Patricia, a 68-year-old woman who spent much of her early life trying to meet everyone's expectations. She attended social gatherings she didn't enjoy, took on responsibilities that weren't hers, and often put her own needs last just to keep others happy. But something changed as she grew older. She began to realize that the person she needed to please the most was herself. In her younger years, Patricia was always surrounded by people, friends, coworkers, and acquaintances. Her calendar was filled with lunches, parties, and weekend plans, and she felt the constant need to stay busy. But as the years went by, she began to notice something important. Much of that socializing wasn't bringing her real joy. It had become a habit, a way to fill the silence rather than to nurture her spirit. After retiring, she started embracing quiet moments, morning walks alone, peaceful cups of coffee on her porch, even solo trips to places she had always wanted to see. What she discovered surprised her. She didn't feel lonely at all. In fact, she felt more confident, more balanced, and more connected to herself than ever before. For the first time, she was living life according to her own rhythm, not society's. That's the beauty of truly knowing yourself. When you understand who you are, you no longer depend on external validation to feel complete. You become comfortable with your own company, your own thoughts, and your own decisions. This kind of self-awareness changes everything. It allows you to make choices that align with your values, not with what others expect. You stop wasting time on activities or people who drain your energy. You protect your peace because you finally realize your time is too precious to spend on anything that doesn't bring fulfillment. Isn't that one of the most liberating realizations in life? To know that you can be whole all on your own? Some people might wonder why you enjoy solitude so much. But those who truly understand will recognize it for what it is, a sign of someone who has done the inner work, who has nothing left to prove, and who has found genuine happiness in simply being themselves. And that, without a doubt, is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights meaningful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us continue creating valuable, inspiring content just for you. Number 3. You choose quality over quantity in relationships. As we grow older, one of the greatest realizations we come to is that not every relationship is worth keeping. In your younger years, your life may have been filled with people, coworkers, acquaintances, neighbors, many of whom came and went without leaving a meaningful mark. But now, you understand that it's not about how many people surround you, it's about how deeply they connect with you. Many people try to maintain social ties simply because they've known someone for years. But with age comes the wisdom to recognize that longevity doesn't always equal value. A relationship that lacks mutual respect, understanding, or joy only drains your energy the longer you hold on to it. That's why many seniors who prefer solitude aren't antisocial or lonely. They've just outgrown shallow connections. Instead of surrounding themselves with the people who bring little meaning, they now focus on deeper, more genuine bonds that truly nurture their spirit. Take Frank, for example. At 72, he used to feel obligated to maintain a wide circle of friends. He attended gatherings he didn't enjoy, made small talk that felt forced, and spent time with people who neither knew nor appreciated who he really was. Over time, though, he began to notice how drained he felt after those interactions. So, he started narrowing his circle, keeping only those relationships that brought peace, laughter, and mutual respect. Now, Frank spends his time differently. He shares meals with a few close friends, visits family who truly value his presence, and enjoys quiet afternoons doing what he loves. The result? He feels lighter, calmer, and more fulfilled than ever before. Because when you choose quality over quantity in your relationships, you begin to value authenticity over appearances. You no longer feel pressured to maintain friendships out of guilt or habit. You stop chasing approval and start cherishing connections that uplift you. Whether it's spending time with loved ones, nurturing a few lifelong friendships, or simply enjoying your own company, you understand what truly matters. Some might misinterpret this as distancing yourself from others, but that couldn't be further from the truth. You've simply learned the difference between being surrounded by people and being genuinely connected to them. You don't need a packed social calendar to feel important, because you've reached a stage where genuine connection is far more valuable than social obligation, and that realization is one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity and deep wisdom. Number 4. You enjoy lifelong learning and personal growth. One of the biggest misconceptions about aging is that personal growth slows down with time. But in reality, those who embrace solitude often continue to grow, learn, and evolve more than ever before. While some people rely on constant activity or company to feel alive, others find that stillness and independence open the door to deeper self-discovery and lifelong learning. While many people depend on constant social interaction to stay entertained, those who appreciate solitude often discover a deeper kind of fulfillment, one that comes from within. They find joy in exploring new ideas, learning fresh skills, and expanding their understanding of the world around them. Wise seniors use their alone time not as empty space, but as an opportunity to engage in meaningful, enriching activities. They might read thought-provoking books, paint beautiful scenes, write down memories, play a musical instrument, or even learn a new language. Rather than relying on others for stimulation or amusement, they nurture their minds and creativity, finding satisfaction in growth and self-expression. This kind of curiosity isn't just a hobby, it's a hallmark of wisdom and longevity. In fact, studies show that seniors who stay mentally active through learning and creative pursuits tend to maintain sharper cognitive abilities and a stronger sense of purpose well into their later years. Take Eleanor, for example. At 74, after spending decades raising her family and managing a demanding career, she suddenly found herself with more free time than she'd ever had before. Some people assume she'd fill her days joining clubs or attending social gatherings, but instead, she discovered the quiet joy of solitary learning. She began reading about history and philosophy, took up painting, and started writing down personal reflections and life lessons from her past. What surprised her most was how fulfilling it felt. Instead of feeling lonely or restless, she found herself excited to wake up each morning with something new to explore. Her alone time became a space for creativity, growth, and reflection, a time to connect more deeply with her inner world. The ability to enjoy lifelong learning isn't just about keeping your brain active, it's about keeping your spirit alive. It means staying curious, engaged, and open to the wonders of life, no matter your age. Many people fall into the trap of thinking that by the time they reach their senior years, they've learned all there is to know. But the wisest individuals understand that there's always something new to discover, a different perspective, an unexplored passion, or a deeper understanding of oneself. Those who fear solitude often look for distractions to fill the silence, but those who embrace it recognize its power. Alone time isn't a limitation, it's an opportunity. Instead of wasting it on shallow interactions, you use it to grow, reflect, and build wisdom. And that, without question, is one of the greatest marks of a truly wise life. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content that informs and inspires. Many people spend their lives running from solitude without even realizing it. They fill every spare moment with noise, TV, phone calls, errands, or endless social plans, anything to avoid being alone with their own thoughts. But those who learn to embrace solitude, especially in their later years, reach a rare and remarkable level of emotional maturity. They are no longer afraid of silence. Instead, they welcome it as a space for peace, reflection, and understanding. When you are truly comfortable with your own company, it means you've made peace with who you are. You've accepted your past, your mistakes, your triumphs, and everything in between. And you no longer need constant distractions to feel complete. You've learned that happiness doesn't come from external noise or approval, It comes from within. Isn't it incredible how, when the world quiets down, your mind finally begins to speak clearly? Those who have mastered this kind of inner calm have discovered a powerful truth. Stillness is not emptiness. It's where real connection with oneself begins. Being able to sit in silence without feeling restless or uneasy is a sign of deep self-acceptance and emotional independence, qualities that many people spend a lifetime searching for but never fully attain. Take Walter, for example. At 69, he used to thrive on constant activity. He filled his calendar with social events, conversations, and outings because he feared that being alone meant being forgotten. But as time went on, he began to sense something deeper. Much of his social busyness wasn't about connection. It was about distraction. When he finally allowed himself moments of quiet, he realized how freeing it felt to simply be. He started taking peaceful morning walks, enjoying the rhythm of his own thoughts instead of chasing conversation. He'd sit on his porch in the evenings, listening to the wind and reflecting on his life, not with regret, but with gratitude. And the more time he spent in solitude, the more centered and content he became. That's what emotional wisdom looks like. It's not about cutting yourself off from others, but about being so secure in yourself that you no longer need the constant noise of the outside world to feel alive. You find fulfillment in reflection, peace in quiet, and clarity in simply being present with your own mind. It takes courage to reach that place, to sit in silence and feel at home within it. But for those who do, solitude becomes a sanctuary rather than something to escape. And that deep comfort with one's inner world is one of the truest signs of wisdom. When Walter began embracing solitude, he discovered something unexpected. He genuinely enjoyed his own company. In the quiet moments he once tried to avoid, he found space to think clearly, to look back on his life, and to appreciate just how far he had come. He used those peaceful times to process old emotions he had buried beneath years of busyness and distraction. As he sat with his thoughts, something powerful happened. A deep sense of calm settled over him, a peace unlike anything he had ever experienced before. Being comfortable in solitude doesn't mean cutting yourself off from people or never enjoying social time again. It simply means that you don't depend on constant interaction to feel whole. You've reached a stage where you can sit quietly, without the need for conversation or background noise, and feel completely content. You can reflect on your past without being weighed down by regret, and you can appreciate each moment exactly as it is. No rush, no pressure, just presence. Instead of fearing silence, you begin to see it as something sacred, a space where growth, gratitude, and understanding naturally unfold. The stillness that once felt empty now feels full of meaning. Isn't it interesting how, when the noise fades away, the heart starts to speak more clearly? Many people spend their entire lives avoiding this kind of deep self-reflection, keeping themselves constantly distracted so they don't have to face their own thoughts. But those who reach this level of inner comfort and peace have discovered something extraordinary. They've learned that solitude is not a void to be filled, but a gift to be embraced. When you can be alone and feel entirely at peace, when your happiness no longer depends on others, and your heart feels steady in the quiet, you've found something that no amount of socializing can ever replace. True inner contentment. It's the kind of serenity that comes only from knowing yourself deeply and accepting life exactly as it is. Choosing to spend more time alone in your later years isn't a sign of loneliness, it's a sign of wisdom. It shows that you've reached a level of emotional maturity and self-awareness that many people spend their whole lives trying to find. You've learned to value peace over chaos, to cherish meaningful relationships instead of shallow ones, and to find joy in your own company. You continue learning, growing, and reflecting, not because you have to, but because you understand that true fulfillment comes from within. While others may misunderstand your preference for solitude, you know something they don't. Your quiet time is not empty. It's filled with purpose, reflection, and personal growth. You've discovered that peace isn't something you chase. It's something you create by listening to your thoughts, honoring your emotions, and living in harmony with yourself. Not everyone reaches this stage of life with the same depth of understanding. Some people still chase constant noise and distractions, afraid of silence or of facing their inner world. But when you can sit quietly, breathe deeply, and feel content in your own presence, you've unlocked one of the greatest gifts of aging, the ability to be completely at peace with who you are. This inner calm doesn't mean you've stopped caring about others. On the contrary, it means you approach life with clarity, compassion, and balance. You understand that solitude isn't about isolation, it's about reconnecting with your truest self. You've learned that happiness doesn't depend on how many people surround you, but on how deeply you know yourself. What stood out to you the most in today's video? Which of these insights do you see in your own life? I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment below and share one thing you've learned today and how you plan to apply it. Your thoughts truly matter, and reading your reflections gives us great motivation to continue creating more content that informs, uplifts, and inspires. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might need to hear this message. Wishing you good health, happiness, and peace always. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more inspiring videos to help you live a wiser, calmer, and more fulfilling life.